Stuffing with sausage, mirepoix, chestnuts, pear, fresh herbs, and a really nice mixture of bread. I started by sauteing some sausage. The sausage gives stuffing really nice richness. It's important to cook it first so that we develop the flavor, and then we go in with the carrot, celery, onion, and leek. Now, carrot, celery, onion, and leek are mirepoix, and what it offers is a complete bouquet of flavor. It will transform your stuffing. I'm using the food processor because it will make short work of it. I'm going in with leek, so everything has been peeled, and I'm just running it through the shredder. I want it nice and fine so that when it does go in, it breaks down for the most part. Remember, this is a flavor base. This is not like a soup or a stew where I really want to see this, but I'd really like all those flavors to be in there. Celery in. You can see it makes the job very easy. The great thing about using the food processor is everything is uniform in size, which means it'll all cook the same, and it already smells incredible. Take the blade off. You can see that beautiful array of all those fresh vegetables are now going to go into the stuffing. With about a quarter pound of butter to start, I'm going to need lots of moisture for all that bread. And I'm going to saute this and begin to develop flavor in that flavor base, and then mix all these ingredients together, making sure before I ever put it in the turkey that I fully cool the stuffing for food safety. The fragrance from that flavor base is already filling my kitchen. These gorgeous pears, I'm going to leave the skin on because there's so much flavor in the skin. And watch how easy it is to prepare this. I just simply slice off the 4 sides. Set that aside. Nice fine slice. And I'm going to put this into the stuffing raw. I want that little bit of sweetness to come through. It's beautiful when you're eating the stuffing. You get that little bite of sweetness, little bite of fragrance from the fresh herbs. It's just incredible. I'm going to set this aside. One thing that I've found that works really good is to use the actual roasting pan. You've got so much and so many ingredients to go in. It's nice to have a bit of space to work with it. I'm going to put in, I've got some rye, pumpernickel, sourdough. I already have an incredible flavor base just based on the types of bread. Now let's build on those flavors. In goes the sausage. Got these beautiful chestnuts going in. They'll add a real richness. And this gorgeous sliced pear. Look at that. It looks absolutely delicious already. I'm telling you, once you make the stuffing, it'll be a family favorite. Now, the flavor base. Poultry seasoning you can get dry. I'm going to challenge you to use some fresh. You don't need a lot of it. So I've got fresh thyme going in. This is just the thyme leaves. It smells incredible. Fresh rosemary, chopped finely. Sage. If you're not sure about knife skills for preparing chopped herbs, you can check out the first series which focused on knife skills. Now that that's all brought together, let's have a look at this flavor base we developed. So you've got this all brought together, nicely sauteed, nice and tender, and I'm just going to spread that around. It's beautiful. Oh, I just love this. I'm going to fold this together a bit, and you can see why I use that pan. It allows me to move it around, massaging those ingredients together and getting all of that flavor incorporated in all of the bread. Now some stock. Stock will help to moisten the bread, but let's face it, a nicely developed stock will add incredible flavor to whatever you put together. I like to turn out the stuffing on a tray. The baking sheet allows it to completely cool and allows me to season it evenly as well. It gives me a chance to have a look at all of the beautiful work. Some fresh ground black pepper. And I've got some nice flaked sea salt here. This will make sure it's perfectly seasoned, and as soon as it's cooled, ready to go into the cavity. I found over the years that while I'm waiting for the stuffing to cool, I can throw together a cranberry sauce. I love doing my own because it really adds an element of flavor. You can get the canned jelly, gelatinous, nasty stuff, but this is too easy to not make yourself. Starting with some frozen cranberries. You can get them fresh and keep them frozen. They're so bright and tart. They're such an incredible ingredient. What I do to change things up a bit is I always use brown sugar and I use orange juice. The orange juice gives it a nice little zip, and cranberry and orange goes really well together. Perfect. Now, orange zest, which really brings that essence of the orange directly in. You get good flavor from the juice, but let's face it, from the zest, you get that huge punch of beautiful, I can smell it coming off the pan already, it's incredible. The other thing that I really like to incorporate is spices. So I've got here a cinnamon stick. Now I'm gonna put these spices in, but then I'm gonna take them out. What I've done is I've tucked in cloves into either end. So I get cinnamon sticks, I'll drop a couple in there. I've got 4 cloves. And I've got this beautiful star anise. Star anise is licorice in flavor. It's beautiful, and with this, it's an absolutely perfect match. So I'm just gonna stir that up. And the great thing about making your own cranberry sauce, especially starting it off first thing in the morning, is it fills the house with this incredible Christmas blend of spices, and it's really simple. Medium heat, about 20 minutes or so, let it bubble up, pull the spices out, and it's gonna be perfectly set. The other thing that I like to work on early in the morning is to have the potatoes ready. Now I don't start them, but I get them set on the stove, and you'll see I've left the skins on. I'll show you later in the sequence how we peel the skins. It comes off really easy, but leaving the skins on gives your potatoes a very different flavor, one that I think is unmistakable and you're gonna want to do. Putting bay leaves in, and I've got an herb spice. You can use a coarse salt, but I've got herb salt. It's a nice mixture of a variety of salts. And you see how much I'm putting in? I wanna make sure that I season that water heavily. That way, when it comes time to eating them, they're perfectly seasoned and I won't have to add anything to it. With my stuffing down to below 4 degrees and the cavity seasoned with salt and pepper, I've got my turkey ready to stuff. It's important to tie the legs so that I get good, even cooking. I'm just gonna use some butcher's twine and bring them together and then finish stuffing. The legs tied together firmly, I can now stuff the last little bit in the cavity and make sure there's some of this good stuff poking out the other side. It's important to not stuff it too tightly, and I'll show you how to make, we've done stuffing, but I'll show you how to make dressing. So we'll do a separate side dish of the dressing. Just take it, set this aside for a minute, get out the roasting pan. It's important to have a nice large roasting pan, lots of room around. Just take and set that in. I've decided to use a little bit of citrus and some onion, which will all caramelize, and as it roasts, just develop really nice flavor. I'm gonna build a pan sauce underneath. So I wanna make sure I put at least a ½ liter of water in. That way any of the drippings, rather than just hitting the pan and evaporating, they'll be collected by the water and help me develop a really nice gravy. I want to just take a moment and pat it dry before I add any butter. Make sure it's completely dried off, inside and out. And now some butter. I've got some melted butter. Of course, butter will bring flavor. It's actually going to help to brown the turkey as well and give it really nice crisp skin. There's nothing worse than skin that's kind of soggy. Making sure to get all those nooks and crannies. Beautiful. Now, I've got some fresh sage, which I'm just going to lay out on the top. Of course, sage is a main ingredient in a poultry seasoning, and I think it looks a little bit like a mosaic. It's very, very pretty. Of course, the butter helps it stick. We always eat with our eyes before we ever taste or smell anything, so it's nice to have that going on. A little bit of fresh thyme on top as well. Beautiful. Got some fresh ground black pepper. You can see that turkey looks just gorgeous already. tuck some of this around. Some sage everywhere. Beautiful. This is great for using to garnish when it goes to the table as well. I'm going to use a little bit of this beautiful coarse salt. Of course, the turkey is a very thick protein, so we want to make sure we get deep inside the meat when we're seasoning. Now, all I have to do is tent it with foil, the shiny side in, and a couple really important points about turkey. If you're deep thawing a frozen turkey, make sure to account for about 5 hours per pound if it's frozen, if you're doing it in the refrigerator. If you're using it in the sink and using running water, take about an hour per pound. A turkey like this is going to take 20 minutes per pound to cook. And when you're figuring for the number of guests you have, figure anywhere from a pound to a pound and a half, and you'll have enough turkey for everybody. Now this is going in the oven. I'm going to put it in at 350 degrees. Mark my watch, and it won't be long, and the kitchen will be full of the fragrance of fresh roast turkey. With any stuffing that's left over, I'm going to prepare a dressing, and all the dressing is stuffing outside of the turkey. I love to put these frozen cranberries on top because that really balances out the richness of the stuffing. All I have to do is put it in a pan, cover it up, and that can go into my small convection oven, or it can go into the oven once I pull out the turkey. Now for those giblets, the dreaded giblets. I've got a pan here 3/4 filled with cold water. I'm going to add 1 chopped shallot, some fresh thyme, sage, and rosemary. I want to make a powerful stock here, and I've got a bay leaf. I'm not going to add any seasoning to it right now, but that's going to go on the stove like that, and it can simmer for hours. And what I'll have at the end is a concentrate of perfect turkey flavor. Now look at this cranberry sauce. It is beautiful. Look at the texture. You can see, and I wish you could smell this. I can smell the cinnamon and the star anise. It's just gorgeous. Now, one of my secret ingredients is a little bit of tawny or ruby port. Add the port in at this point, as much as you want, and then put it back on the stove. As it cooks, all the alcohol will come off, but the perfect thing is you'll have all of that incredible development from the port in that sauce. You're going to love it.